The observation deck of the Galactic Council's flagship fell into absolute silence. 7 species, each representing billions of souls across the Andromeda sector, stood frozen as they watched the impossible unfold on the planet below. Scarthix, the devourer of worlds, the eternal flame, the creature whose very name caused entire civilizations to evacuate star systems, was lying on his back. His obsidian scales, each the size of a cargo transport, gleamed in the pale sunlight of Kepler 442b. His massive wings, capable of generating hurricane-force winds that could strip atmosphere from planets, were spread out like a sunbathing lizard, and standing on his chest was a human child. "This is not possible," chittered Ambassador Zelthor, his compound eyes all focusing independently on the scene. "Scarthix destroyed the Vornathi homeworld 3 cycles ago. He melted the rings of Saturn for approaching too close. He is death incarnate. The human appears to be petting him," observed Commander Zilth, her crystalline form refracting the light in patterns that indicated extreme confusion. The child, barely reaching 4 feet tall by human measurements, had somehow climbed onto the dragon's chest. Her small hands patted the scales with the kind of fearless affection one might show a domesticated animal. The dragon's eye, golden and ancient, larger than the child's entire body, watched her with an expression that none of the assembled aliens had ever witnessed before. Interest. "Someone stop this." Ambassador Zelthor's voice rose in pitch. "The human young one will be incinerated. We must intervene before." Mira Hale, aged 7 standard Earth years, leaned forward and kissed the dragon on his snout. The universe seemed to hold its breath. Scarthix's pupils dilated. A sound rumbled from deep within his chest, a vibration that registered on seismic equipment across 3 continents. The aliens braced for the explosion of fire, for the death scream, for the terrible fate that awaited anyone foolish enough to touch the galaxy's apex predator. The dragon was purring. "Blessed ancestors," whispered High Priestess Valshera, her 6 arms clasping together in a gesture of prayer. "What manner of creature are these humans?" On the surface, Mira giggled and pressed her face against the warm scales. "You're not scary at all," she said, her voice picked up by the surveillance drones hovering at what they'd calculated as a safe distance, approximately 40 kilometers. "Everyone said you were mean, but you're just big and lonely, aren't you?" Scarthix shifted slightly, careful not to dislodge the tiny being on his chest. He had existed for 17,000 years. He had seen stars born and die. He had witnessed the rise and fall of empires, had been worshipped and feared in equal measure. He had perfected the art of destruction, mastered the science of terror. No one had ever called him lonely before. "The child must be using some form of mind control," suggested Science Officer Krath, his tentacles working frantically over his datapad. "Perhaps humans possess psychic abilities we weren't aware of?" "They're speakins. There is video. Arlise from Warmint. Scan shows negative for any psionic energy," replied his assistant. "She's just a child. Just a child," echoed Commander Zilth softly. "A human child who sees the galaxy's most feared creature and thinks, 'Friend.'" Mira had begun talking to Scarthix now, chattering away about her day, about the new planet they'd moved to, about how she missed her old friends but was excited to meet new ones. The dragon listened, his ancient consciousness struggling to process this unprecedented situation. He had made thousands of species flee in terror. He had been the subject of epic poems about fear and destruction. Yet this small, soft, impossibly fragile being showed no fear whatsoever. Instead, she showed him something he'd forgotten existed: trust. "You have very pretty scales," Mira continued, tracing patterns on his chest. "Like black rainbows. And your eyes are so golden. Like the sun's, Daddy showed me through the telescope." A low rumble came from Scarthix's throat, a sound that on any other day would presage annihilation. But this time, it formed words in the old tongue, translated by the Council systems. "You are not afraid, small one?" Mira looked up at his massive eye and smiled. "Why would I be afraid? You haven't hurt me. And you look sad." Are you sad? 17,000 years, countless worlds, endless power. And a human child was the first to ask if he was sad. I am. Scarthix paused, searching for a concept he'd never needed before. I am uncertain. That's okay. Mira patted him again. Mommy says it's okay to be uncertain sometimes. It means you're learning new things. I'm Mira. What's your name? I am Scarthix, the devourer of... That's a silly name, Mira interrupted, entirely unaware she'd just cut off the galaxy's most dangerous creature. Can I call you Scar? It's easier. In the observation deck, Ambassador Zelthor made a sound like choking. She gave him a nickname. She gave the Eternal Flame a nickname. And he hasn't vaporized her, added Commander Zilth, a note of wonder in her voice. Below, Scarthix found himself. Accepting this. Scar, he repeated slowly, testing the sound. It was informal, undignified, completely inappropriate for a being of his power and status. He liked it. Scar. Mira clapped her hands. See? Perfect. Do you want to be friends? The dragon considered this. He considered his eons of solitude, his reputation, his carefully cultivated image of terror. He considered the fact that entire space fleets had been mobilized just to track his movements. That his very existence had shaped galactic politics for millennia. Then he considered the warm weight of this small human on his chest, her fearless smile, her genuine kindness. Yes, Scarthix said simply. I would like that. Mira's delighted laugh echoed across the plains, and the galaxy's most feared dragon carefully, gently, wrapped one massive claw around her in what could only be described as a protective embrace. In orbit, the Galactic Council stood in stunned silence. Humans, Ambassador Zelthor finally said, his voice filled with a mixture of awe and terror. Remind me never to underestimate humans. Commander Zilth nodded slowly. They don't see danger. They see potential friends. That's either the bravest or most foolish trait in the galaxy. Or perhaps, High Priestess Valshara suggested quietly, it's both. And perhaps that's why they'll inherit the stars. Below, Mira had begun singing a human children's song. And Scarthix, the devourer of worlds, listened with an expression of contentment that rewrote everything the galaxy thought it knew about dragons, humans, and the power of an innocent heart.